Hi honeys, it's Michelle. In today's video, I am going to do a book haul of the books that I recently got. Now, I did break one of my new rules, but I wanted to be honest. I had said that I wasn't going to buy any books at Target or Walmart anymore because I get so much of my money with other items, and I was just going to go to bookstores and Barnes and Noble to buy books in order to help support them. But I have been so excited to just go walk around Barnes and Noble and maybe get some coffee and just peruse. So on Saturday, my husband and I decided to go on a date. We wanted to go out to dinner, and one of our favorite things to do after dinner is go walk around a bookstore, always Barnes and Noble, and kind of walk off dinner a little bit and just add a little bit of extra fun to the evening. Well, we got to Barnes and Noble and it was closed. And I kind of felt like Clark Griswold at the end of the first Vacation movie. I was like, I've been waiting a long time to go to Barnes and Noble. I finally get there. I drive up and it's closed. So I go to look online and my Barnes and Noble is still closed. They have not reopened at all. They don't even do curbside pickup, which makes me worry they're going out of business maybe. So I go to look up some of the other Barnes and Nobles nearby and I find one that is open, but instead of closing at, I think it's like 10 or 11 that Barnes and Noble closes, they now close at 6. This is 7 o'clock at night. And they're now closed on Sundays, and it's a Saturday night. And I'm thinking, I don't want to wait this long to get my books. I want to read my books. And you know, sometimes you just have a certain book in mind that you have to start reading next. That's my predicament. So while I have a bunch of to be read books, I've got one that I want to start now. Kind of like, what is her name? You probably know her name. In Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. I want it now. That's me. I'm just stomping my foot. I've got my purple dress on and I want my books. So what we decided to do was go walk around in Target and look at their books. And I did. I found the book I was looking for, and then I found about 5 other ones. I narrowed it down to just that and one other one and decided to get them. Also, I re-upped my Book of the Month membership, and I was offered a free book for signing back up. Well, I signed up in May, and I only wanted one of the books in May, so I just took, I just got one book, which will be in my next book review because I'm almost done with it right now. And then for June, I did want 2 books, so I used my free book then. So I'm going to I'll show you the 2 books that I got this month with Book of the Month. The first book is Forget You Know Me, and this is by Jessica Strawser. What really drew me in when I saw this book was on the cover right here. It says, "That book you can't put down and can't stop thinking about when you are finished. Sally Hepworth." Well, Sally Hepworth is the one that wrote that book I talked about in my last book review video, the one for May. She's the one that wrote The Mother-in-Law. So when I saw that she had such high praise for this book, I really kind of had to have it. When a video call between friends captures a shocking incident no one was supposed to see, the secrets it exposes threaten to change their lives forever. Molly and Liza have always been enviably close. Even after Molly married Daniel, the couple considered Liza an honorary family member. But after Liza moved away, things grew more strained than anyone wanted to admit. In the friendship and in the marriage. When Daniel goes away on business, Molly and Liza plan to reconnect with a nice long video chat after the kids are in bed. But when Molly runs upstairs to check on a crying child, leaving the webcam running in her empty living room, what Liza sees next will change everything. because Molly's mistakes aren't just catching up with her. They're linked to Liza and Daniel in ways that none of them can know. Forget You Know Me is a masterful, great hybrid of women's fiction and suspense, exposing the wounds of people who've grown distant, best friends separated by miles, spouses hardened by neglect, a mother isolated by pain. One moment will either pull them back together or rip them all apart. So that's why I got this. And this book is 324 pages. The author is editor-at-large for Writer's Digest and the author of 2 previous novels. She's written for the New York Times Modern Love column, Publisher Weekly, and other fine venues, and she lives with her family in Cincinnati. I'm excited about this, though. That just sounds... There's so many directions that could go. What does she see on the webcam? So yeah, I'm excited. Okay. The book that I went there to get was this one. It's called The Better Sister by Alahair Burke. Here's the description on the back. Keep your enemies close and your sister closer. Though Chloe was the younger of the 2 Taylor sisters, she always seemed to be the one in charge. She was the go-getting honor roll student, while Nikki, always restless and more than a little reckless, was the opposite of her ambitious sister. For a while, it seemed that both sisters had found happiness. Chloe earned a scholarship to an Ivy League school and moved to New York City, where she landed a coveted publishing job. Nikki married promising young Cleveland attorney Adam McIntosh and gave birth to a baby boy, Ethan. The Taylor sisters became virtual strangers. Now, more than 15 years later, their lives are drastically different, and Chloe is married to Adam. When Adam is murdered at the couple's East Hampton beach house, Chloe reluctantly allows her teenage stepson's biological mother, her estranged sister, Nikki, back into her life. But when the police began to treat Ethan as a suspect, the 2 sisters are forced to unite and confront the truth behind the family secrets they have tried to bury in the past. What? So, my understanding is this book is about a sister who marries her sister's ex, which family dynamics are always very fascinating to me in books, especially siblings. I've never had a sister, so there's something about sisters and the relationship between sisters that has always really fascinated me. And yes, I have sister-in-laws and I love them, but I don't think that's still the same thing as having an actual sister. You know, there's not that bond there that you have with somebody that you grew up with. So I just felt very compelled to read this. And Washington Post says, cunning, get ready to be led down the garden path to a conclusion so morally ambiguous, a professional ethicist might have to be called in. What? I mean, I'm just saying, it sounds amazing. Now, as far as the author goes, Alahair Burke, it says she's a New York she is a New York Times bestselling author of 13 novels. How have I never heard of her? Have I had my head buried in the sand? I've never heard of her before. I just happened upon this. I was looking through new releases and I saw this. And of course, you know, I like the cover and the fact that it appeared to be about sisters, it just kind of drew me in. And so then when I read what it was about, I had to have it. But a former prosecutor, she teaches criminal law and lives in Manhattan and East Hampton. Well, okay. And this book is 311 pages long. Okay, and then with the Book of the Month books, there's 2 of them that I got. The first one is The Vanishing Half by Bennett. Let's see. Let me hold it up like this so you can look at the cover, so you know which. I like to hold these up as much as I can so that you can fast forward if you want to. You know which book I'm talking about. I do try to put timestamps down in the description box, but still, it's always nice to see what book is being talked about. Okay, twins, inseparable as children, ultimately choose to live in two very different worlds, one black and one white. The Vignes sisters will always be identical, but after growing up together in a small southern black community and running away at age 16, it's not just the shape of their daily lives that is different as adults. It's everything, including their racial identities. Many years later, one sister lives with her black daughter in the same southern town she once tried to escape. Across the country, the other secretly passes for white, and her white husband knows nothing of her past. Still, although separated by so many miles and just as many lies, the fates of the twins remain intertwined. What will happen when their own daughters' storylines intersect? Weaving together multiple strands and generations from the deep South to California, from the 1950s to the 1990s, The Vanishing Half is at once a riveting, emotional family story and a brilliant exploration of race, gender, and identity, and the lasting influence of the past as it shapes a person's desires and expectations. Doesn't that sound riveting? It just sounds wonderful. I cannot wait to read this. So Bennett is the author of the best-selling novel, The Mothers, and she has seen her work featured in The New Yorker, the New York Times Magazine, the Paris Review, and Jezebel. And it doesn't say anything else about her. I always like to know where an author lives, and I don't know why, but I just do. So I'm kind of disappointed they don't tell me that, but that's okay. It's one of those little things. Why do I care? I don't know. 343 pages is the length of this book. Once again, a book about sisters. You see what I mean? I'm just fascinated with sisters. And then the last book, which is the other Book of the Month Club book, is this one. This is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. And I don't know, this book, it seems like everybody's excited to read this book. So I don't think I'm alone on this, but it just sounds wonderful. Okay. Bells that ring themselves, record players that turn and play music to empty rooms, ghosts that climb out of wardrobes. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Maggie Holt doesn't believe in these things, even though they are the details of the story that made her family famous. 25 years ago, she and her parents, Ewan and Jess, moved into Bainbury Hall, a rambling Victorian estate in the Vermont woods. They spent 20 days there before fleeing in the dead of night, an ordeal Ewan later recounted in a horror memoir, House of Horrors. His tale of ghostly happenings and encounters with malevolent spirits became a worldwide phenomenon, rivaling the Amityville horror in popularity and skepticism. Maggie has lived her life in the shadow of her father's book, so when she inherits Bainbury Hall after his death, she returns to renovate the house to prepare it for sale. However, her homecoming is anything but warm. People from the past, chronicled in House of Horrors, lurk in the shadows, and locals aren't thrilled that their small town has been made infamous thanks to Maggie's father. Even more unnerving is Bainbury Hall itself, a place filled with relics from another era that hint at a history of dark deeds. As Maggie experiences strange occurrences straight out of Ewan's book, she starts to wonder if what he wrote about was more fact than fiction. Alternating between Maggie's uneasy homecoming and chapters from her father's book, Home Before Dark, is the story of a house with long buried secrets and a woman's quest to uncover them, even if the truth is far more terrifying than any haunting. So that sounds like a nice spooky book. Home Before Dark is the fourth thriller from Riley Sager, the pseudonym of an author who lives in Princeton, New Jersey. And it says her first novel, Final Girls, was a national and international bestseller that has been published in more than 24 countries. Wow. Okay. And then let's see how many pages this book is. 384. Quite a bit of pages here. What do I have? 13 or 1400 pages to read? Can we do it? I'm going to try to read all these by the end of the month. Try being the imperative word. I am reading my book of the month from May right now, which is called, what's it called? A Good Marriage. I'm about halfway through it, and I have to be honest, I'm loving it. It's really good. So I will give you my full review at the beginning of July. It should, hopefully, I will be able to put out my video in the first couple days of July. I try to do that every month, but this last month, I didn't even put my video out until a week and a half into the month. But I'm hoping that this month I will be good and I will be able to finish enough books to review by the very end of the month. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books or if you've read books by any of these authors. And if you did, let me know what you think, because I want to know. I'm nosy. What can I say? Well, that is it for my book haul. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And I love you. Bye.